to come to chapel when it was just red carpet and drywall. There were no pews here, there were no shelves here, there were no icons or paintings behind me, and there was no altar. This was an empty space. And George Costendi and I used to come here with Jackie Camel, who is JP's younger sister, and we used to do band practice in here back then, maybe 15 years ago when we were the Word. And it was our space. This was our, oh, and Amanda Luca, who's sitting right there. This was our space. This was our shelter for some of the things that we were the most passionate about. And I think that passion kind of really resonated and grew from the ground up in this particular home. For us, we really felt like this was something that we wanted to see grow, and it totally did. I think for all of us, from when we started, this initial congregation was teeny tiny. It was just a few families, and then it exponentially grew and grew and grew, and then it's become what it is today. And you'll notice that for some reason, the people of this congregation have the same level of passion that I was just addressing with George, Jackie, Amanda, and I in this building. The passion here among all of us is very unique. It makes us built differently. Our congregation is wired to be more motivated, to participate in a more active way, more than kind of the cultural upbringing that we had. I'm confident that's my son in my car. This is really bugging me, so I'm just gonna lower it slightly. Sorry, everyone.
You're allowed to.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm allowed to. This is much easier for me. And I think that that's what I really want to focus in on, is the sense of ambition and drive that our congregation has in particular to do more than what we were initially called to do when we were participating in the other churches that we belonged to. That kind of translates in two ways to me. One being that we felt like we were part of something, and we are a group, and we have a roof over our heads in which we all participate in. And to me, that kind of just defines us as a family. Wouldn't you agree? As a family, we are here, we come together, we all are under the same roof, and we all want the same things. And so I would like to treat us as a family, and I think it's important we all look at each other that way. We did a survey together, many of you participated, and you all felt the same in a different kind of light. You felt that we had lost in the last 18 months that sense of connection that drives us together, right? That this family sense is kind of missing. Whether that was because of the pandemic exclusively, or if there was other factors involved, and I will address them, the connection has been minimized. And a lot of that has to do with us. The leadership team, I will call it, that has to do with us. I think that when you go into a pandemic, it's a little bit difficult for us to navigate because no one really prepares for that, and no one really has best practice for it. So we're kind of thinking on our toes here and trying to make the best of it, but we could have done a bit better, and that's on us. But I think that we've realized that. A lot of you have communicated that with us, and I think it's important for us to address it and to move swiftly. We also want to come back with a sense of celebration. We were all very excited about coming into church. A lot of the government regulations kind of stopped our feeling about that, but we're reopening, and the capacity limits have been relaxed, and so there's more reason for us to get together and band together, and so we want to continue bringing that kind of energy and passion forward, and so we want to extend that excitement. Few ways that's changing the way we do things is we have a coat drive that we normally did every year, and it was kind of hindered because of the pandemic, and we're bringing it back. It's next Sunday. We're all going to be dropping off any of our goods, bringing them into the church and doing good, and that's what we all wanted to do initially as well. We wanted to do good, and we're doing it again. We've got our Hallelujah weekend, is what I'd like to call it, not anything else, and that's next weekend, and that's for our kids and our little ones, for them to come and celebrate together. Again, another reason to be super excited to do things together and to bring that passion under this roof. Now, I've talked about us being a family. I would like to ask the question, and it says it on the slide for those of you watching at home if you still don't have the video, how do you communicate with your family? Not your brother and sister who are upstairs, or your kids who are locked in their rooms and talking to other people. In this and must, the friends that you've got down the street, Giddo and Tita who live in Mississauga or wherever, what's your primary method of communication with them? It's a phone. We all use our phones more than anything else to communicate with each other, and I think that we, as our team and as our family under the chapel congregation, I think that we need to make it easier for us to communicate with each other in this way. And so we're here to kind of talk about some of the ways that we've changed our methods of communications. Some of these bones already existed, but these are the ways that we would like to continue to communicate with you and really kind of make it two-way communication. Not just us talking at you, but really trying to encourage you to talk back with us, to kind of make this a conversation, for you to feel involved, for you to feel connected, for you to know what's going on. You want background information, you want insider scoop, these are the ways that we're gonna do it. Some of these platforms already exist. For those of you who are watching or at home, we've got a newsletter called the Chapel Pulse. It used to be long-standing, fell to the wayside. We're going to bring it back and we're going to revive it in a way that really gives you the information you're looking for so you feel like you know what's happening on the inside. We also want to elevate our social media platforms, our Instagram and our Facebook. We're going to communicate everything in that way so that even your kids know what's going on. Our website's getting a facelift, and it's going to change a little bit, but it's going to make it easier for you to understand how you can help, how you can show up, and how you can participate more, because what we've heard from you is that that's what you want. You want to participate more, and we're going to make it easier for you guys to do that. I also want to talk a little bit more about the campaign and the easier ways for us to bring our very passionate mission to fruition, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. This is Chapel 2.0. This is our next stage, our next phase. Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. It's a beautiful building, and you know, when George and I first came here and it was just no pews, I think even there was a period it was folding chairs. We've obviously grown. Our family has grown at a really rapid pace, and the square footage in this building is just not cutting it anymore. And so we really need to look ahead about what our future looks like as a congregation, especially if the pandemic is gonna die over and we are going to need to come back together in a much bigger way. This building's not gonna do it. We announced the new building months back, and then we were just kind of silent about it. Doesn't mean that nothing happened, but we do want to talk a little bit about what we've done and where we are. We've heard some questions, and so we're going to answer some of those questions today. Behind the scenes, there is a team that works very, very hard at pushing paperwork. And one of the ways that we do that is to get the city permits to build something as magnificent and as regulated as the church. And the city permits take a long time. Some city permits take 3 years or longer. But when you're working as hard as we are, we do try and expedite that. And that's what the team has been doing behind the scenes, is really kind of driving these things forward. We want to pause also and just kind of say thank you to all the people who have brought us to this point. There have been a lot of donations, a lot of financial support in other ways that have supported the paper pushing, but have also kind of really elevated this team to continue pressing on. This can be a very discouraging process, building a church of this size and of this magnitude. And so while we stand on the shoulders of the congregation, especially those who have really contributed in big ways. And so we really want to say thank you to them. But where does that bring us? It brings us to a point of having to make some serious decisions on construction, having to make some serious decisions on what's next. How do we break ground? When do we start doing framing, etc., and so forth. But before we even consider that, we have to really reevaluate where we stand. A lot of pause has happened because of the pandemic, both financially and in action, and so we need to readdress what the requirements are in order for us to actually move forward in a physical way. And that brings us to this point. We really need some support. And I know that the connection is probably the only way we're going to get there. We need to feel that we are all responsible for this. It is not just a few people who kind of shake hands, talk to Abuna on a regular basis, and suddenly we have a building. It is all of us. All of us need to feel responsible in the same way that in my house, I am just as responsible for my mortgage as my husband is. We're both responsible for this, right? We are all responsible for bringing this to life. So I'm going to show you the real job ahead of us, okay? I'm going to walk through some of the next slide and the numbers there, and I think that I'm going to bring it to you high level, but there's more to be said. And if anyone wants more information, there are plenty of people here today who you could reach out to. We will also be sharing a communication with you guys tomorrow in the Chapel Pulse with a bit more context and a little bit more resources, as well as some contact information. So if you want to ask any questions directly, you are more than welcome to reach out to anyone on our team so that you can get a real understanding of what's required. These are the numbers, okay? Can everyone see this okay? So, pardon me? Good. Little bit? Oh.
You can speak through it.
Okay, so the first number on the screen is in additional donations. We're looking at $520,000. We need additional recurring donations, so a few months back, George and the team came up with a really great way to kind of make sure you didn't forget about donating to the church, right? Sometimes I'll speak for myself, I'll write one check or I'll make one deposit or one e-transfer and then kind of feel really good about myself and do it again and then forget. But there are mechanisms put in place to make sure that we're all participating actively and regularly, and that's what the recurring donations are. We're not really far off, we just need another $7,000 per month. Loan replacement and guarantees replacement. So this is where it gets a little bit technical. So we need to kind of revitalize some of the resources we have in place. If I work a little bit backwards, guarantees replacements means if you don't want to contribute to this action, this project, in a way that is just sending an e-transfer or giving a few dollars, but you want to contribute in a bigger way, this is a role that we need. We need people to sign on and kind of be responsible in a much more signature on paper kind of way to really help us feel supported to get there and to show the bank that we have your support as well. And then for the loan replacement, we kind of need to refill this bucket a little bit, right? We kind of need to make sure that this $500,000 kind of stays in place in a way that we can show our creditors that we're still good for this money, okay? These numbers, for those of us who grew up at St. Mary's, these are not really that bad, if I'm being honest. We all remember Uncle Neshit at the front of the church, who I love, and is a good friend of the family, who came up here and asked for, $7 million in 2 months. This is not bad. This is not bad at all. This is just the first step, but this isn't that bad. And I really think our congregation can do it. But I do want us to feel passionate about extending our resources a little bit. I know people, you know people, I have Facebook friends, and you have Facebook friends. I've got an Instagram, and you also have an Instagram. I have email, you also have email. We have made these resources very flexible and very shareable. It is not just about, under this roof, we need to come up with $1 million in change. That's not what we're looking to do. We do need to do it, but it's not just about opening our own wallets, but kind of seeking others to be as passionate as we are. In the same way that we are asking people to be part of this family, extending our reach, extending our services, this is one of the ways to do that. This is one of the ways that we are serving, right? Is kind of spreading the word a little bit. It's So we've made it possible for you guys to do that.
Hi, Natalia. Can you hear me?
Hi.
It's Shadi. I'm on the WebEx. I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Yes.
So you were talking about those numbers. Is there a deadline in terms of when we need to reach those numbers?
Yes. Great question, Shadi. The deadline for these numbers is December 31st.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
2021.
2021. Thank you, Pierre. 2021. So we do need to work a little bit quickly here on this. 2021, December 31st. Coming up with $1 million. Again, I do remind you of the announcements at St. Mary's. This is not impossible, but it does require drive. It does require passion. And if you are true to, like, if we really feel strongly about the success of this church, that drive and that passion needs to be inherent in all of us. We need to feel that sense of responsibility. So, do what you're able. If you can contribute to this yourself, fantastic. If you feel you're tapped out, spread the word. There are other people who are not obviously watching today. We will share the information with them. And people who are not part of today's liturgy, and we will also share the information with them. But it's on all of us to share the information beyond that. Yes, George?
So I just looked up the calendar. So we have 10 weeks until December 31st.
Use the microphone. Use the microphone so that people can hear your call.
I was just looking at the calendar and I noticed that we have exactly 10 weeks until December 31st. So the additions and donations, that means that we need to pull in $52,000 a week in order for us in 10 weeks to get to that additional donations. So that's just a way of looking at it. If we don't pull in 52 grand this week, then next week that number keeps growing. So there is a sense of urgency.
Great clarification, George.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
What does the word replacement mean?
Great question. So the word replacement can also be viewed as redemption. Sorry, the question was, for those of you who didn't hear, what does the word replacement mean? Loan replacement and guarantees replacement is on the screen. It's kind of assumed that we need to refill that bucket. So for the loan replacement, we need to kind of get another $500,000 in loans.
But is replacement mean that we had it and we lost it and we need to replace it?
It's kind of it was a call from the bank to am I correct here?
It's from the individuals.
From the individuals. Hi, Uncle Larry. Uncle Larry is our CFO. I'm going to pass the mic to him.
Can you repeat the question for the people online, please?
Basically, people have loaned us funds for the last couple of years. Some of them are requesting repayment. We expected this amount of funds to be called back by the lenders, the private lenders, in November, December. However, we've already received one for $200,000. So this is basically a replacement for loans that have been given to us and people want it back. The same for the guarantees. People have guaranteed us at the bank and they want to pull out their guarantee, so we need to provide the bank for a replacement. So for both loans and replacements, we cannot do that on our own. We have to submit to the bank replacements before they allow us to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, of course. Thanks, Uncle Larry. Any other questions? Online, any other questions? Thank you for those already. Okay. I'm just going to bring us back to the resources real quick, and then I will leave the numbers on the screen as we wrap. So, Chapel Pulse, for those of you who have subscribed already, you will be receiving this. But if you would like to receive it and haven't subscribed to kind of our communications, you can go to our website and submit a form, or you can email us at info@smsd.ca. Social media is Chapel SMSD, SMSD Chapel on all of our channels. Please follow us. Our website is smsd.ca. And the campaign, we've redirected it a little bit. You can find all of the information about how to support on the website and on the communications that I've just outlined. But if you also just need a quick reminder or an easier way to get there, just think Build SMSD. BuildSMSD.ca will redirect you to everything that you need. It's going to be our social hub, our central hub for this, and that's what we're really trying to do is build our church and make it the future. If there are no other questions, we will move forward with all of our. Oh, George, hi.
Hi, just one question.
Yeah.
You can repeat it. Okay. So just a clarification. We're campaigning to pull in or receive $500,000 worth of donations, 7,000 recurring donations, and the other 2 boxes before December 31st. And what will be the outcome of that? Is it at that point we'll have sufficient funds to build the church, or what is the status at that point?
Fantastic question. So the status of that means that we maintain a hold of the property. Let's put it that way. Achieving this will put us in the position of being able to look forward and making more concrete decisions about how to actually contribute and break ground. In so many words, the job does not end after December 31st. Okay, so this campaign is going to be long-term, but these are the immediate numbers. And in order for us to actually be able to secure a contractor and start looking at construction, we need to get these numbers. Yeah.
And so if we don't get these numbers, then what happens?
As you all know, when you deal with a bank, you have certain commitments to the bank. And our commitments to the bank for 2021 requires that we achieve these numbers. If we don't achieve them, then we will be in hot water with the bank. That's basically it.
Any other questions? I just want to reiterate and just remind everyone that the reason why we're so drawn to the chapel in particular is our sense of passion and our sense of wanting to do more than what we initially were asked to do when we were growing up in the other churches. We all want to be active participants of the success of this home. And so let's just dwell on that. And any way we think we can contribute or support this mission, let's figure out ways to do that together. Thank you guys so much.